Hey, Gary Mintchell here, and I'm back in my office. I get a little glimpse of my home office here, and it's on Monday, and I just got back a day or two ago from California and another trip, and this trip was to Anaheim. And despite the fact that it was just outside of Disneyland, it really wasn't a Mickey Mouse affair. Sorry for that, but I heard some puns from my friends in Europe about some other Disneyland kinds of things. Anyway, I was at Rockwell Automation's Process Systems User Group, that's PSUG. That was on Monday and a little bit on Tuesday. And then on Tuesday last week, we had the Safety Automation Forum, and that was jointly sponsored by Automation World, so I got to moderate the event and go around and introduce people. And it was very, very well attended. Really appreciated everybody that showed up for that. It was some really good talks and some really good questions. A couple of times I was preparing some questions in case nobody did, and the users asked pretty much what I was going to ask. So that means I must be thinking like a user, I hope. So anyway, and then we had the traditional automation fair. And so automation fair, actually everything was really well attended this year. The Process Systems Users Group had a total of about 500 registered attendees. That includes Rockwell people, and I'm told that probably somewhere around 350 actual end users were there. That is a very nice number, especially for Rockwell, whom people aren't sure is really in the process business, but actually they are. They have come a long way. I went to one of their very early process training sessions, and back when it was in Highland Heights in the Cleveland area, and it has just come a long way since then. Unbelievable. Last 5 years, I've seen a lot of new people that have come in that have hired in from some of their competitors, and so a lot going on in process. It's really good, and they really have come a long way, and there's some of their new tools within programming and so on are very much just like just like a DCS, somebody said. So anyway, PSUG was good. The Safety Automation Forum was great. We had almost 200 people there, and it was very, very, very good. This is, by the way, in California, supposedly not the real hotbed of Rockwell's strength. Its strength is thought to be Midwestern, but anyway, it was still very good. And then the other thing would be the Automation Fair itself. Automation Fair was originally devised as a trade show. Now, a lot of training has come along with it. It's whereas PSUG is like a traditional user group, Automation Fair is like a traditional trade show with booths and stuff, and they have a lot of what do I want to say? Client partners that have booths. It's a big thing, and I'll tell you, these kind of things are exhausting for an editor. I had many meetings and went around the trade show floor, had lunches, had dinners, but it's also exhilarating because you're seeing so much stuff, and there were about 8,000, I think, registrations, or maybe somewhere in that vicinity. At least 5,000 end users were there, maybe more. They told me that the number of Rockwell people was down 30%, but the total attendance was the same as in Nashville last year. So a lot of new stuff, a couple of interesting takeaways. The one takeaway is every aspect of Rockwell, the attendance was up, and there was a lot of enthusiasm and excitement. Technology, they're coming a long way. Process keeps gaining, and it's moving a long way. And the other thing, it keeps gaining. Some of the other things, I had an interview with Keith Nosbush and other senior leaders. Interestingly, this year, for the first time under Nosbush's tenure, things seem to be stabilized as far as personnel. Probably 90 to 95% of the people I interviewed were the same this year as last year. But last year there had been a big stirring of the pot, kind of a typical Rockwell thing. People may have 25 years there, but they sometimes only have the same job too, as they keep moving things around. A little more stability this year. The main thing is, and somebody told me, said, well, Keith's big focus has been integrating the company, and you can really tell it. Last year I could tell it, this year even more. The same words. I would go to the software booth and I would get kind of the same spiel as the sustainability people or the integrated control people. They're all working kind of in the same thing. They're sharing technologies, in past automation fairs in, say, the late 90s and early 2000s when I was first going there. There would be standalone islands and standalone groups, and I would go to the component group, and this component group, and the control group, and the software group, and maybe drives group. I can't remember all of them. But anyway, there was it was just like the traditional islands of automation we hear about. No more. Everything was more integrated. The technologies are getting integrated. Somebody talked about a new standardized operator interface for, I can't remember now if it was a small drive or a small PLC. And I had to smile because I remember the HIM modules from the mid-90s when they said, we're going to try to get the same little operator interface module for our smart motor controllers and all of our various drives so that if somebody buys one, they know how it all looks and how I can find parameters on all that. And they're still working on that, but they've come a long way. So integration, stability on the team, lots of enthusiasm, really great attendance. And that's despite me not really seeing very many of my old buddies that I used to work with from the Midwest. So Automation Fair in Anaheim, it's certainly a success for Rockwell, and very, very, very interesting. Read my blog and read Automation World for more updates on all the new products they released, a lot of cool stuff. And but the key things are they're really working on process as a focus. OEMs, and they're expanding OEMs past packaging to include material handling and process OEMs, skid makers, and so on. Really cool stuff. Emerging markets. I hear various things coming out of their success in China, for example, and I have a feeling that they still have a long way to go, but I have a feeling everybody has a long way to go in China yet, but that's definitely a Nosbush target and a company focus, and seems to be going pretty well, but a lot to do yet. They're not there. And then information, they're still working on information. I asked about, they have all the stuff the Pavilion brought for model predictive control, advanced control, that sort of thing. A lot of really cool stuff there, a lot of intellectual property that can be focused onto other things. But I'm really interested in the MES side of things and where that's going. And they're still looking at it as an investment. Nosbush told me an investment. Steve Eisenbrown, Senior Vice President. Oh shoot, what was the word he used? It also started with an I. It's kind of like it. It's information. It's kind of in a formative state. So it's still building. And I guess the thing of that is we still have technologies coming together along business intelligence and all the MES stuff. And we're still building a critical mass in that, and Rockwell's still working on it. So that's another thing not there yet. At any rate, it was exciting. It was a lot of fun. I took the red eye back from California. It took me a couple of days to recover. I had to teach a soccer class on Saturday morning. So after a whole day of NFL football yesterday on Sunday, I feel like I'm kind of back in a swing. Finally found in my office. So great time. Good to be at Rockwell, and I'm glad to see. I hope this is a harbinger of things to come as things look like they're picking up, and I hope that the economy does pick up. So anyway, Gary Mintchell, this is another Mintchell Minutes. I'm reporting from the Rockwell Automation Fair.